fact that in the 12th century, 12th century Chinese wrote down, hey, there's a bright, something really big happened, and it's really bright. And they wrote down all the things they could, non-technical things they could say about it, and it's in ancient Chinese literature, and we know which thing that is. You can go look at it. It looks like a ring of disturbance in a pond. There's an object, and around it there's a circle of expanding circle of brightness. Yeah, Steve's got books. There's probably a picture.
What's the name of it?
Well, the Chinese one, I don't know. The crab, the one in 1987 is the crab. See if you got it.
Yeah. Well.
Oh yeah, there it is.
We can pass it around, but I guess the idea is that the supernova was at the center point of that expanding.
Right, and what happens is electromagnetic energy and relativistic particles are blown away in the collapse of this massive star. And they're propagating essentially at the speed of light, and when they encounter gas or dust, they light that stuff up. You see X-rays, you see everything, because this intense energy pulse gets into these clouds and just turns on the lights for a while.
How do you detect if there's a supernova coming?
You know, unless it's a nearby star that you've studied regularly, like Betelgeuse.
So then how long does it take for one of these, like Gemini North or the Rubin Observatory, to recalculate itself to that?
Oh, the goal is to do this in a matter of minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Just a couple of minutes, they call Pam and they say, we got bad news.
Sorry.
We'll name an elementary school after you, but we got to take the telescope away from you for a while. So right now it takes days. If you call up Gemini and say, I want to have you take a look at a spot on the sky, you're talking about 6 months to put in a proposal to get observing time. It's a big bureaucratic thing. They want to be able to react in a matter of minutes. So anyway, there's a page on this. Yeah, so there is one telescope, Las Cumbres, that can reschedule on a 10-minute scale.
Is that northern hemisphere then?
Yeah. It's like mid-latitude. I don't actually know where Las Cumbres is. It's in South America, I'm pretty sure. So, quick reaction is hard because the astronomy, production astronomy, is a business. People compete to get time, because if you don't get time, you don't have any observations, and you are counting on other people to happen to look at stuff you're interested in. One of my undergraduate friends, he's my age, is an astronomer. He teaches at the Citadel, the military academy in South Carolina. He is not an observational astronomer. He counts on other people looking at objects, but he's a genius at using what is available. He has produced, last time I checked, in the vicinity of 300 professional papers. He will look at, somebody says, well, we studied this particular galaxy and we did some stuff. He goes and gets the data from them, and over a period of a few weeks or a month, he discovers things in the data and writes a professional article. And professional art, you don't just throw them out there like this archive thing. You can put anything in archive. But to get it in a professional journal, it has to go through peer review. And no junk gets through, or very rarely does junk get through. And this guy, his name is Saul Edelman, is 300 refereed publications. It's unbelievable. He's brilliant. Okay, now we come to, let's see, Katrina brought this up a couple weeks ago, the cold spot in the cosmic microwave background. I failed to put a picture of the cosmic microwave background here, but we've seen it 100 times in this set of meetings. It's that picture, it looks kind of like an egg, and down in the lower right area, there's a spot there that's uniquely cold. And this has been in the news over the last month. More people are pondering what's going on with, why is the cosmic microwave background so cold in that one area? So let's talk about that for a minute. So the spot we're talking about is 70 microkelvin. Now micro meaning a millionth. So remember, I'll say something I've said to you before. If you look at the sky in the microwave spectrum, you don't see stars or galaxies. You see the afterglow of the Big Bang, and it's unbelievably uniform. It's like taking a white sheet of paper and looking at it. There's just nothing different from place to place, except if you look really hard. And if you look really hard, there is temperature variation. And the COBE experiment and the WMAP experiment and the Planck experiment all successively measured that fluctuation. Even though they're very, very tiny, we now have very precise measurements. So the cold spot is 70 microkelvin colder than average for the entire sky. But if you look at the whole sky and say, what's the kind of the average variation? It's 18 microkelvin. So it's like saying, let's get a group of people who are almost all the same height. Get the DU basketball team, and they're all 6'11" to 7'1". So there's some variation, but it's small compared to their overall height, except there's one guy on the team who's 5'6". And that can happen. Some of you may remember Spud Webb, played in the NBA, and he was about this tall. He ran between the legs of the big guys. Okay, so what's going on here? Possible causes for this cold spot. First on the list is quantum fluctuation. So quantum mechanics says at the subatomic level, everything is unpredictable. Everything is measured in probabilities. And in fact, if you buy Feynman's QED book that I mentioned earlier, that's what QED is all about. That you can't, at the atomic level, you cannot measure anything precisely. And in fact, the early universe was tiny. It was smaller than an atom before, as the Big Bang was happening. The whole universe was smaller than an electron and was ruled by quantum mechanical effects. So if you repeated the experiment of creating this universe, you would get different results each time. It's not like if you're playing pool and you very carefully measure the force that you hit the balls with, you'll get the same result every time, not at the atomic level. Quantum mechanics sticks its finger in the process. So that's one possibility, that the birth of the universe was controlled so much by quantum mechanics that there's a chance that a cold spot would form in the universe after 13 billion years of evolution. And that's been considered, but the excursion, this 70 microkelvin variation compared to what we observe for most of the sky, makes that possibility not very likely. So the words here that are not in bold say what I just said. It's a possibility, but it does not seem like quantum fluctuations is the answer. The next idea has been around and was recently in the news are that there's a void of matter between us and the spot on the sky where this cold spot is. That there was radiation flowing toward us, and once it got in the void, it just kind of got absorbed and lowered its temperature a little bit. There's no physical evidence to support this yet. there's speculation. Nobody knows. Then there's this thing about cosmic texture, which is that remember we've talked about the shape and the geometry of the universe, that there's something about that area that is not consistent with the overall geometry of the universe, that there's some kind of a little wrinkle there. And it'd be hard to tease that out because it's the only spot in the universe that we know of that we can study. You know, one of the benefits of doing planetary science is that if we understand the atmosphere of Jupiter, we can use that knowledge to do a better job of understanding our atmosphere here on Earth. It's because we have multiple atmospheres in the solar system and they're nearby. We can go visit them and we can study them and we can try to understand atmospheric dynamics all over the solar system because it helps us understand what's going on here. But this is the only place, this cold spot, it's the only cold spot we know of in the universe. So we only have one to work with. And that makes it a little difficult to get a general result. We're going to take a break here in a second. Parallel universe, this is intriguing. And remember, these things in blue are links. If you click on those, you'll be thrown to maybe a technical article, but maybe an article written for the public about what this means. So there is a lady astronomer who has been a long-time proponent of this idea that there are multiple universes in the universe with a big U. We live in one of them, but there's some overlap between these universes, some little bit of the behavior of another universe creeping into our neighborhood. And this might be some evidence of that. One area where this is taken seriously is in the case of gravity. We've talked about this before, that there are 4 forces in nature that physicists worry about. 3 of them are really clumped together in terms of the strength that they exert on their neighborhood. And then there's gravity, which is extremely weak in comparison to the other 3. And Lisa Randall, oh, that's another person if you want to read books about the cosmos. Lisa Randall at Harvard. Did I mention that my friend used to date her and said, very difficult to get along with. He lives in Oregon. He came to visit one time and he was looking at my bookshelf and he said, "Oh my God, you have a book by Lisa Randall." He was going to throw it in the trash. It was like a traumatic thing for him, being with her. Anyway, so Lisa Randall has been a strong proponent of this idea that another universe has intersected with ours. Like imagine soap bubbles that are touching, and there's a little bit of one inside the other, and that the gravitational force we feel, which is so weak relative to all the other forces that we experience, is because it's a normal strength force in its own universe, and a little bit of it is in our neighborhood, and it appears here dramatically weaker than anything else we experience. Well, let's finish this page and we'll take a break. Parallel universes, potentially a place where string theory could play a role in resolving the issue. The string theory has so few applications. Yeah. Oh, so the last thing is that somehow our picture of the cosmic microwave background that I have shown you many times is corrupted by the processing techniques that were used. There's actually mention here, right here, of a Mexican hat wavelet. That's a mathematical thing that allows you to process an image and tease out the details. Widely used, and it is used to produce the pictures of the cosmic background that we have talked about. Maybe that somehow corrupted what we see, and we end up seeing something that looks like a cold spot that actually isn't there. So maybe we have to do another microwave background experiment to try to resolve this. All right, let's take a break. Pam has already done an announcement. Anything else that's popped up?
Just next week, last week, bring your card in after
Right.
you park, and
And
I can take it
You
back.
know when they're gonna assign the classes?
I do not. I would, I do not.
Yeah, so you gotta, if you want one, you gotta get it in right away.
Have you done the registration?
Not yet. That's why I asked.
Yeah.
I think it was today or tomorrow that they were doing their class assignments.
Oh, really?
I think so, yeah. In February.
Not looking good, Ansel. That's all I gotta tell you.
Well, there's that bird class I heard
That's
about.
right.
All right, so let's break until 1:45. Yes, sir.
I give a lot of lectures, and if I see somebody falling asleep, I wonder if it's mid-September. I was up late, and I had to go at 4 in
Does
the
it
morning.
process?
I'm just waking myself up. I don't know if you noticed that.
He was talking about he was
noticed.
trying to get
Good.
from
But
two
I
different
have-
sources,
But I
a bunch of people from
apologize,
two different
because I know
sources.
it's like,
And
I'm
it
the
becomes
teacher,
general
he's
knowledge.
just falling asleep on me.
Yeah, when I was an undergrad, I took classes from a guy named Jerry Marion, who was a physics
You have
professor, but he was also a
Did you ever
a
get
pistol shooter. And he would do this,
Well, I mean, it's been nice
and this is the
because
old
it's
days
been
that you and I
open
remember
for
where
the
there
last
was
2 weeks
chalk.
that they had that up. And now today, you can go in there and
He would do this to the students who were awake, lean out.
the visual intent, the
And he, one time, he hit the guy right
you
here.
swipe.
It's
I
hilarious.
swipe it this
Well,
way,
I just,
I swipe
Yeah,
it this
I
way,
don't-
I hold it up to the little viewer down there.
See, now, I
It
remember
doesn't
this.
work.
I
So finally,
just
I've
got
got somebody
diagnosed
that I
with
can
sleep
go
apnea.
pill pound and make them up and swipe
Yes,
there.
And I got, on Monday, I got my mass system,
That's it.
and now I'm
So,
sleeping
if you
all
get
night.
swiped in by somebody else,
I used
and
to
it obviously can let multiple people in.
so like I have this
because
in
the guy
my
behind you has
fancy
to
watch,
Take
actually
it.
monitors my sleep.
Well, I left
And I would see,
I
I'm
left my smart
sleeping
pass
and I
on
look
the
at
back.
3 hours a night or something, because I'm
Do you-
But I've
restless.
driven multiple
watch.
cars,
You go to
until it's
see
snowing,
the
I'll drive.
So I got
pick up, and
diagnosed,
when it's
got
nice,
diagnosed
I'll
by
drive
mass.
another car. So
Do
I've
they
driven.
have
Last night was my
both-
third
Do they
night
have all
with
the
mass.
electric, yeah.
And
That's
I woke up one time,
I remember
but
this.
Plate number,
And
and
I
that's
don't
what
think
she,
Bob has seen
I
this.
mean, I realize,
Pressure
like,
could get
help
into
you
it,
out.
but that's
It takes,
not about getting
keeps
more.
track
And
Yeah,
then
what's
it's
going
not
on, and it
that.
said, you slept 7
It's
hours.
not.
Oh, can I have that?
Yeah, really.
And
You bring me two next week, yes.
Okay.
Do you trust him?
Yeah.
And don't know how, we do not know how long.
I know where to go.
Oh, yeah, it is.
I have never, I've always been a
But
person.
on some of them,
who
yeah,
always
yeah,
said,
I remember
when I
that,
was in
talking about
college,
that.
That's it.
I would arrange my schedule so I
I
could
swipe
sleep in the afternoon.
And I don't have a license plate.
It's hard to
good to
know.
know.
I have two
So I
things
don't
going
have
on.
a
I have soft
license plate
tissue,
number associated.
I
And I haven't got a ticket.
my throat.
So drive the one that you
Closed.
gave.
And I have my brain not active
Although
enough
it
to
doesn't really
say,
matter, you're just
hey,
using it
wake
to get
him
in.
up, because his oxygen levels.
Do you notice them at night? I mean, you go out at
Hypoxia
night.
is not, so I have a central problem,
Well, you
and
know,
I have
I'll
a
look
tissue
at the sky
problem.
at night. If
And
I'm
I
not
have,
camping
as a
in a
result,
place
I
that's
have,
a long
I
ways
can't
away
use
from-
CPAP.
Right,
so
stars.
there's a continuous
Oh, that's
pressure.
stars, yeah.
They gave me a machine that has a computer that
Right.
monitors what I'm doing. And it adjusts the pressure
I
and
mean,
the
it's-
timing.
There are.
I know, I did that
Working with
once.
me.
But around
To
200.
accommodate
Yeah,
the
you can't-
stage of sleep I'm in.
That's
So
pretty
all of a
cool.
sudden
I
I'm
mean,
awake
to
during the
see.
day.
Yeah.
Because
I
I'm
mean,
actually
it's
sleeping.
amazing how many,
It's new for me.
But you have to go to work in a place where-
that's true. And even now, it's harder, but yeah.
I've
Maybe
got a,
Montana would be good.
I've got a friend who has
I
a
actually know,
place up in Fraser.
actually
area,
no.
and
My experience was I somehow accommodated this getting along with 3 or 4 hours of
it's a
sleep
big deal.
over decades and
His
decades.
telescope was so big, he had to
And
have a
I
plane come in and
Still going to
wow.
sleep during the day, but when I'm
But he
awake,
said that
I'm really
the
awake.
atmospheric
But
turbulence
the
is so
difference
bad
now is with this
it's
machine,
really hard to get good.
I'm actually getting 7 hours of sleep.
That's a tough investment.
And
Yeah.
it's good.
I mean, I was like,
I
oh
know,
my
and
God.
The technician was telling me it's gonna get better. because
It'd be
The
a lot.
machine helps your body do
Yeah,
the
wow.
right thing.
I don't know.
Like my
Now,
apnea
have you been
score
out to Gunnison, Steve?
was 74, and
No.
I went for my
Because
sleep
isn't that
study,
a
meaning 74
I
times
won't
an
say a
hour.
dark community, but
I
I mean,
miss
your
they
breath.
limit ambient light and
Sleep.
everything.
Right.
I'd like to go out
That's
there.
really
It's so
bad.
with
It's supposed to be
Montana.
under 5.
I mean, there are parts
No,
of.
it's,
with the
it's,
machine,
it's a dedicated,
For the last
I
3 nights,
think,
I've
but I
averaged
haven't figured out how
score
you,
of 12.
like, where you would go to stay,
You're
where
waking
you
up in
would,
the
you know,
morning,
I
you're
don't
like,
necessarily
oh,
need to
yeah.
camp, thank you
Actually,
very
it's
much, I glam,
fantastic. The
but
mask
not
is
camp.
like- It's really light.
I love the glam.
And it's, yeah, it's not like a snorkel.
I haven't
mask
heard
where
that
you
word.
end up
That's
with
great.
big-
I
No,
did
weird.
read the Neil deGrasse
Yeah,
Tyson
mine
one,
is, yeah,
astrophysics,
my
or
son.
rather I listened to it, astrophysics
Yeah,
for people.
well, it's, things are better.
Yeah.
Actually,
Well,
Well, I'm thinking if I read enough of those books.
Yes.
it'll all
This is my next week's
Right.
meeting.
Although,
Okay.
a brief history of time, I finally gave up on it, but I read the final one he did, what is it, Easy Answers to Hard Questions, or
Yeah.
something like that.
I've read
Yeah.
that one. I bought one of Lisa Reynolds' books, and I gave up on it. I hardly ever give up on a book, and I was just lost in space.
Oh, man.
It was just too far beyond my comprehension.
yeah, yeah.
And it's, I don't know, yours to
No,
Well,
I
I
don't
don't
know.
even get paid.
But this one looks interesting.
If I
That
have
one I
a-
might try.
The joke.
We have no idea. I'll get it from the library, I'm not gonna buy it.
Yeah.
Okay, what color do you see here?
You see gray and aqua.
Okay.
Hour, 2 hours?
I would like to know if we can see something like, it's one of those,
This is pink.
well, a friend of mine is pink and white. I only see gray and the teal. My brother sees red and blue. My mom sees tan.
Really?
My sister also sees this.
Well, yeah, so we should talk
Well,
about
if
this.
you're
and
this
you
way,
could give
you're
me some
left
guidance
brained.
on
If you see pink and white, you're
what-
right brained. My sister's
What
like,
will be most
Who's the
effective for
bigger?
your students.
other
On
family
one hand,
members.
I could talk about
She said, well, I said,
the other
"Okay,
end is
maybe they just think outside the
to
box."
lean more toward a
And
quote that I
then,
use a lot.
That's
which
interesting.
is,
So this tells you
in my
whether you're
emails.
left brain, right brain.
Some of my
Supposedly,
emails, it says,
Huh. And
if
this
you
is supposed
want
to
to
be
have a
left brain?
group of people
this
go
is
to
left
ship,
brained.
don't give them.
I'm
If you
left-handed,
see-
so I don't
If
know.
the right
The
brain is
Ranger
dominant, you
and
see
C.
pink and white. If the left brain is dominant,
And
you
so
see green
I
and
could-
gray.
I can talk for an hour.
I'm left-brained, I'm left-handed.
Why is
I don't
something
know.
My
is
sister's comment back
the
on this
earliest
is hilarious
signs,
because
why
she
it
said,
should be compelling, always
said,
compelling to society.
it's like that story where some people are rocks and some people are trees and the little girl says,
So,
but I'm a
we-
mermaid, where's
So,
my fit in?
well, so let's do by email.
We have
Let's
two
have a short
mermaids in our
conversation.
family.
And we have,
My brother answered, of course, I'm glad I'm a mermaid, with global warming coming.
It's a 300-hour training. And
That sounds like you guys have
meet once a
fun.
month.
We do, although unfortunately I started this term, so where everybody's on a different time zone right now.
Where you would fit
And I
in.
started this
If your
term
time is not good at
at
the
like
end of the
9
year,
o'clock at
maybe
night,
put you more
figuring,
towards the
well,
summerish
I know my
weekly.
brother and my sister
It would just make
do
more sense
do
for
not
you to be
disturb on their
coming out
phones,
of that.
so they were going to be
Get a
disturbed.
So you're
Right,
representing
my mom
people.
kept texting
Yeah,
back, and
yeah,
then I tried to text
And I could-
her,
and
but
that's
she
a-
kept
that's
texting
something I
back to
could
the
talk about.
lake,
That's a
the
key
whole,
word.
the group chat.
In the
And
evolution of
It's
astronomy
this
was
one,
up
not
until
that one.
Einstein.
We're gonna
his
wake them,
time.
you know, they're asleep, and my
Ether
sister
was
responds.
presumed to be necessary,
It's
something
like quarter of
fluid,
one in the morning.
necessary to
What are you
convey
doing? Oh,
energy
it's
from place to
true.
place
She
in
goes,
the
no, I
universe
like
in a
nights, I
vacuum.
hate mornings.
And this
So
was
then she
a
started again in
mystery
the morning,
that
my brother
just
chimed in.
no one can
I'm like,
wrap their
now
head
we're
around.
waking mom
How
up.
does sunlight get to Earth? It has to go through empty space.
It is, I'm hoping my brother goes out to visit her.
And so
Next
people
week.
postulate
He
this thing
goes out
called the
Sunday
ether,
or Sunday or
the
Monday.
whole solar system is
He's like,
swimming
okay,
in
learn how to set
a
up start up.
cloud
So that
of
we don't
stuff
miss.
that is like the air that's allowing sound to move from place to place. It
Right.
turns out you don't need that.
I would love this. Yeah, I'm super sad that this is ending in a week. This is
All right, so send me an email and tell me more about what you got, what the overall goals of the class are.
good. Okay.
It'll be fun.
Thank you. And then which one of these is the sound waves that you were,
Whoa.
you know?
Lido, yeah.
Oh, the one that you said it may have been an echo, the cold,
Yeah, there's a possibility that the geometry of the
oh,
universe,
it's the geometry. Okay.
yeah, right. All right, so it's quarter of, people will resume or rejoin us.